Hello, this is Dr. Alexander Haskell. I want to cover a really important subject, which probably most people, especially women, are very interested in and feel they've got symptoms of low thyroid hormones, but their physician says that everything looks fine to them. So I'm talking here about hypothyroidism, and that's when certain labs fall below the reference range, and also suboptimal hypothyroidism, when thyroid hormones results are within the range, but they're low, suboptimal. So here's a cell, and the cell needs oxygen to perform optimally. It needs glucose and thyroid hormones to function optimally for vitality and health in general. Some people, especially women, think that maybe they're overweight because of low thyroid hormones, and it can be one really important factor, but there's other things going on as well. But you'll find that they went on thyroid hormones and then their weight changed. But these people, I'm sure, were doing other things besides just thyroid hormones, diet, fasting, etc. So here represents a thyroid cell, and we have the little Y is a receptor for another hormone, and the circle is what's referred to as a symport, the sodium iodine symport. So in the pituitary gland in the brain is monitoring the blood flowing through it, and somehow, miraculously, senses when thyroid hormones are declining, and it will secrete its hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone. This has two actions on thyroid cells. One is to open this symport to absorb iodide, and the other action is when it engages on the receptor on the thyroid cell, and that triggers the thyroid cell to make hydrogen peroxide, which converts iodide into iodine. And along that assembly line of making a thyroid hormone, other nutrients are required: selenium, zinc, and iron if deficient. And then the thyroid cell will secrete primarily one thyroid hormone, referred to as T4, thyroxine. The 4 represents 4 atoms of iodine. The other hormone is T3, and that's secreted more outside thyroid cells. There's an enzyme that requires selenium, and that enzyme also requires optimal levels of the hormone secreted by the adrenals called cortisol. So what is supposed to happen is that if thyroid hormones decline, then TSH should increase, signaling the thyroid cell to make more thyroid hormones. And if for some reason the person has elevated thyroid hormones, maybe due to taking too much thyroid prescription, and thyroid hormones are elevated, then the level of TSH is going to drop. So let's look in a blood vessel. Represents here a blood vessel. We have both the T4 and the T3 circulating. Both these hormones are either bound to a protein carrier called thyroid binding globulin, or they are detached, referred to as the free T4 and the free T3. So ideally there's 4, we're not checking for Hashimoto's now, there's 4 thyroid hormone results which are extremely important to determine if a person has either suboptimal thyroid hormones or hypothyroidism. Most docs will run many will run only a TSH, and if it falls within the reference range, no further testing is done. Some docs will do TSH and the free T4. Let's understand what those mean. So T4 thyroxine, that result represents both the bound T4 and the free T4. That's the total amount of T4 in the bloodstream. Then there's free T4, checking just the free T4. And the third one is the free T3, which is seldom checked, but it's the most important one. Most important, because free T3, in terms of its activity or action on cells, is 6 to 8 times stronger than the free T4. So Traditionally, there are two types of hypothyroidism. Therefore, there can be two types of suboptimal hypothyroidism, primary and secondary. So here we have on the horizontal the two different types of hypothyroidism. One is primary, one is secondary. In the columns, we're going to put thyroid hormones and the thyroid-stimulating hormone. So, of course, in both primary and secondary, we have low thyroid hormones. But with primary hypothyroidism, we have usually a very high thyroid-stimulating hormone. The pituitary is saying we need more thyroid hormones, TSH is going to go up. This is primarily a nutritional deficiency. The thyroid cells don't have the nutrients they require to make T4. The secondary is low TSH. The pituitary is not sensing that the thyroid hormones are low, and therefore it's not secreting adequate amounts of TSH to tell the thyroid cells to make thyroid hormones. So there's three types in terms of medications, and this is really important to understand. So three types of thyroid medications. The first is synthetic T4, usually it's levothyroxine. It's made in a laboratory. There's also synthetic T3 called Liothyronine. And the third category is the desiccated thyroid hormones like NP thyroid and Armour. Desiccated thyroid hormones have been around since the turn of the 20th century and has been used primarily until maybe 1950s, 1960s when the synthetics were introduced onto the market. I prefer the desiccated. It's really an easy thyroid hormone to work with. It has to be taken in a special way, but I would say it's sort of a more natural form. It's the isomer of the thyroid hormones that are typically secreted by our thyroid gland. So summary is to understand the thyroid nutrients, which you know now are iodide, selenium, zinc, and iron. Which thyroid hormone is most important? You know now it's the free T3, which is seldom tested by physicians. Again, you can't just test for TSH. That doesn't really give us very much information, very much practical information. And then the types of thyroid prescriptions that are on the market. And that's it for thyroid hormones. I hope this helped you. If you understand this video, you know, what I've told you, probably know more than your physician. All right, thank you.